All right, here we are. Hey, Amanda, welcome to Empowered Women, Empowered Chats.
Good morning,
Happy to.
Jen. Thank you for
So,
having me.
I am so glad that you're here. I am so glad that you're here. I woke up this morning thinking, oh my gosh, we get to shine the light on this amazing woman. And I, you have so much brilliance and so much experience that we get to bring to the world. And yeah, let's just get started. Let me just do this. So let me introduce myself. I am Jen Orman. I am an empowerment coach. I'm a transformational life coach. I work with midlife women who have definitely had success in life and have a lot of wisdom and knowledge behind them, but who wake up and feel like, wait a second, who am I? What's my purpose now? Who do I want to become? Where do I want to go? Something is missing. And I know that there's more for me, but I'm not sure exactly what it is or how to get there. That's where I come in and I get to work with you and these kind of women who have a growth mindset, who are just getting started, who are 40, 50, 60, 70 and beyond and just getting started. This is the mission, this is the movement, and that's what I'm all about. My company's called Totally Awesome You, and it is my mission and my passion. Empowered Chats is something I just started a couple months ago, and I am highlighting my incredible clients and amazing women. And today we get to introduce to you Amanda Mottorn, and you're going to love hearing about her. So hang on a minute because I don't want to miss anything. And I have some notes that I'm going to read from. So I'm so excited.
Jen, thank you for that warm welcome. I'm really excited to be here. Just so grateful.
Well, wait till people get to know you. So Amanda is a former corporate sales executive turned creative entrepreneur. She is a world traveler. Oh my gosh. She is an author. She is the visionary behind Creative Play for Adults. And she's an artist who has paintings that will make you cry. They are so incredible and beautiful and from the heart. I kid you not. You're going to be able to go to her Instagram and check out some of her paintings, and you'll hear more about that. Her workshop is, we're going to talk about this today, and it's really important because it's her mission to help people step into their self-acceptance through creativity. And we'll get to that workshop in a little bit. I am already excited about it. She's really a perfect example of what happens when we commit to our growth, no matter the imposter syndrome that comes up, no matter the fear, and no matter the uncertainty. So, the people that I get to coach that really have the success we co-create, we do it together. I can't do it for you, right? You have to come in. And this is hard work. It's getting in the arena of creating the life that you want. And it can be messy and scary. And I'll tell you what, though, the clarity that arises on the other side of all of that is incredible. And Amanda is the perfect example for this. So, Amanda, I'm going to ask you a few questions and we're going to just go back and forth and see where this takes us, right? So first of all, take us back to the earlier version of yourself. When you were succeeding in corporate America, and what was working for you, what wasn't working for you, what started to emerge from that on your path?
Yeah. So when I was, in that corporate sales arena, I was working with the higher education market, and I had large size territories. And so I would be traveling to them as well as making phone calls. And I was workaholic. I was frequently feeling like I had to prove myself. I would make my goals, or I would make a big sale, and then I would just think, good, I got that one in. And I would think that I would have like this joyous feeling of like excitement, love, just those high vibration energy kinds of feelings of
Yeah.
like, now everything is great. Now I feel massive success and everything's golden. What I found was that those feelings, just every time I got a new sale, it was just like I needed to keep trying and going, but I never got that kind of satisfaction inside that I was enough,
Wow.
that I was doing enough.
Just chasing, constantly
Yeah, just
chasing,
constantly
chasing,
chasing.
chasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the companies that I work for, I have respect for what they were doing, and the clients, like I've always loved the clients. I think any sales executive is going to say they always love the clients, and I definitely
Yes.
did. And I had good relationships with them, but I just knew that there was something else.
So talk about that. What was the moment or the feeling that made you realize that I think I want more? Actually, I know I want more. And when did that emerge and what happened next?
Yeah, well, there were various times of when I believe I must have thought that, but I was chasing my tail. And so I wasn't really at a point where I was able to kind of pause and think. There was a time where I was between positions and I went to New Zealand, and I ended up supposed to be there for, I think it was 3 weeks. I ended up extending to almost 3 months. And it was
Wow.
in that time that I really started feeling, also at that time, I was working on the draft for my novel, Finding Moksha, One Woman's Path in Uncertain Times. And I knew how much I loved to write. So there was that path. I knew how much I loved to travel, and so there was that path. But I also knew that what I was doing in my work wasn't feeding my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I did go back to a company I had worked for before. At that, I needed to be able to pay my bills. And so, I went back into that. But at that time, I had this huge exploration. And that was, let's see, that was 9 years ago. But it was like going to New Zealand was a way of opening my soul. And I didn't exactly
Mm.
know what it was, but that, I think, is when it really started. And at that time, now you can do the math, but I was 43 when that
Yeah.
happened.
And you trusted yourself enough to allow yourself. I felt like that was part of your journey, that you almost had no choice but to follow your soul's calling. Like you knew, and you stayed for, it was supposed to be 3 weeks, but you stayed for 3 months. And yeah, it's easier to connect we can only connect the dots behind us, right? And so taking the leaps of uncertainty is where our growth comes, is when we don't know. You didn't know what was going to emerge or why you were staying in New Zealand for 3 months, except for, I imagine, it felt good for your soul. You knew, and it helped you process probably what might be the next steps. Did you start to gain a little bit of clarity when you were there, or what? And then what happened when you came back?
Yeah, well, while I was there, so I traveled all over New Zealand. I didn't see every nook and cranny. So, like, I haven't been to Wellington. So, if you have questions about Wellington, I can't really help you there. If you have some questions about all of the islands north of Auckland, I can tell you about Waiheke Island and a couple others, but I didn't see all of those islands. But what I did discover about being in New Zealand is that I am actually someone who craves discovery. I love, and for my job too, like I loved researching. I love really becoming an expert in things. One of the things I discovered was how much I loved bird watching. And it was something that I grew up with and did, with my family, but seeing the birds there, they're endangered species. I learned about flightless birds. I did some night, because that's when the birds come out, is when, if you want to see the birds. And
Oh,
there's
wow.
yeah, and there's a particular bird where you only see it at night, and like learning about how they are with the mates. Well, I don't want to
What?
go down. Yeah, I don't
I
want to
don't
go
know.
down any rabbit
Yeah,
holes here, but
I know,
I
but I
mean,
want to come with you on that trip. Can we do a trip to do that one day?
yeah,
I love that. I did not
yeah,
know the night bird thing. That's awesome. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. But I mean, and I made connections too, and so I'm connected still with some of those companies that where I did those kinds of walking to find the birds and learn about their habits and taking care of each other. I also wrote stories about some of the endangered species, and I was just like sitting there on the shoreline, just watching these birds and like writing stories and making things up. And then, kind of out of the blue, this man on a horse comes by. I mean, this is real. He came by and um, he came by and the water splashing up, and I love horses. And then there were a couple other people who came by, and they looked like they were tourists, and they're looking at me, and there's like, it's a moment I'll never forget. They're looking at me like they can't believe they're doing this. And I'm sitting there thinking, I can't believe I'm just witnessing all of this beauty, and it's just, I feel like New Zealand was the place that lit me up and showed me that there is so much more for me to experience. And I was all over the island. I was at Stewart Island, which is where the most where people go for bird watching. New Zealand was healing. It was my teacher.
Yeah.
And I just feel like New Zealand was the place where I started allowing, even if I didn't know what that journey was going to look like or what was going to come next. New Zealand taught me just follow your curiosity.
Wow. Wow. That is such a great story. And it does feel like it was your soul's pull was there and you trusted yourself. And so often we don't trust ourselves, right? Because we're so conditioned to fall back into the old ways that society has told us. This is what you should do. This is what, so I just want to highlight that you had the courage and you didn't even know it was courage. You just followed your heart in that whole New Zealand experience was you trusting and following your heart. And that is such a catalyst for the rest of your journey. So, but let's back up a little bit and talk about your creative. You are a born creative. You are a multi-faceted and multi-passionate and multi-talented. You're an author, and we should put your book info before when we wrap up. I can't do multiple things on here yet, so we'll try to add that in your book and everything where people can find that. But why? I believe, like, clearly you've been passionate about your art and your writing, whatever format, whatever. What held you back? Or no, let me ask you this. When did you know that you were an artist? If you think back as the adult woman that you are now, 50 plus woman that you are right now, when did you really start to know that art and creativity was a real connection and passion for you to understand the world? When would you say that awareness came to light?
That's something I'm not really sure if I have the answer. It's more like I can think of highlights when I felt really alive, or when I felt like I remember there was this vacation that my sister, mom, and I went to in Maine, and Alfred Talon, or the late Alfred Talon, had a studio, and I was pretty young then. I guess I was early teenager or before that. I'm not sure exactly how old I would have been, but Alfred happened to be giving a workshop on watercolor that week. And so while my mom and sister were kind of going along the coast, and this was probably around like Portsmouth, New Hampshire, or Kennebunkport in Maine. Probably was more in the Maine area, actually, not Portsmouth, but I mean, the coast kind of starts there. But, and I remember feeling like, there were all these doting ladies, like grandmothers and things, and Alfred, and I started learning these techniques, and it was just like discovery after discovery. And, at home I would create, also as a teenager, I entered contests, and I would get like runners up or, those kinds of things, whether it was photography, because photography was something that I started doing as well. And, but I loved painting. And I just loved it so much. When I went to college, I studied art as well, but the expectation was that I was going to find a job that would pay the bills. And, society is going to tell you that art isn't it. But I,
Mhm.
I continue doing it, and
Yeah.
it's been a part of my life.
Yeah. I think you once said to me, art is like breathing.
Yeah, art is
It's,
breathing. It's not
you
even
know,
like it's breathing.
it is
Painting is
breathing.
breathing. Painting is breathing for me.
And
But
how many of us are living these should lives because it's how we've been conditioned or programmed, for better or for worse. And so I coach midlife women, and if I hear it almost on a daily basis, I'm X amount, I'm X age, I'm this age, I'm that age, I should have it all figured out. I'm here to tell you, nope. Nope, we are all coming out of the ethers. The programs are all being released as we allow them to be. And we are I think, the most powerful force of agents of change, us midlife women who are just opening and seeing life with new eyes and saying, wait a second, I get to follow these dreams that I've had, or I get to realize new dreams that I never knew I had. I get to create the life that I want, and I get to start to figure out what that is instead of doing what I should do and what society's told me to. Yes, hell yes, hell yes. And that's what you're doing. And you're doing it so incredibly well. The neat thing about your journey is, even though you fell into society's, okay, I should do this and I need to make the money and it's all about the money. Of course, we must take care of ourselves. That's we won't discount the importance of that, but we often focus on that at the sacrifice of our soul's callings, right? And so we get to now come back and wait a second, how can I create abundance and wealth and stay in my soul's callings and in my journeys? And this is the journey that you are on, and I am getting front row to witness this, Amanda. And I can't tell you how incredibly honored I am to be here, because the other thing about you is that you've always kept, and I think because it's part of your inner, it's who you are. This paint, you said, it's your breathing, it's your oxygen. So you've always found ways, despite other people telling you can't make money at that. Can't. Oh, speaking of that, in the last week, I've talked to 3 different people who've shared stories similar to this about art. And one woman showed me these pictures about her art. She's in marketing, and she showed me all these. She goes, "Oh, I'm also an artist." And she showed me these, and I nearly dropped to the ground with the incredibleness, just like your paintings. It's just, this is incredible. I said, why did you not pursue this? And she said, I was told, yeah, I can't, it's not practical. I can't make money doing this. And, she's trying to figure herself now as, in her midlife, like, where's my happiness and what can I do? So this is all about coming back to it. And I want to, okay. So I know I get so excited because tell people, because everybody doesn't know it, but tell people about your art experiences and the journey that you kept going, even while you were doing the corporate stuff, the practical stuff. Tell us about your paint, like where have tell us about your world travel with your paintings and your art. Just share a little bit about it, because it's kind of cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm just going to say that 2021 was a pivotal year for me. It's where, some people might say where the shit hit the fan. Other people might say where the shit hit. Yeah, can't say it now. Where the shit hit the fan, and where my life changed and just grew and became better and better. And, even at the same time, that as my life was growing, I had these moments of like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I'm so scared, and I should be getting back in, the corporate, and, and I had all of those thoughts. So I definitely, and I, crying and just low moments sometimes, because, society is telling us that we're supposed to be this, even though we know our soul is telling us, that's not feeding me. That's not feeding my soul. That's not giving me the joy and the happiness. In 2021, I think I mentioned early, I published my novel. It's been something I've been working on for 10 years, which it is normal when you have a job. It does take 10 years, but it is something that I'm most proud of having done. And then also in 2021 and even 2020, I started painting as just kind of a way of, and I hadn't been painting in years, but I was with this other group in Vienna, and they were full of artists and writers, and everything went online during the pandemic. It was Internations, which is out of Munich, and I fell onto this special group. That's another story, another time. But in working with that group for, say, 2.5 years or so, even before that, they kept saying, Amanda, just paint, and I did, and I started painting, and it was just like, it was all releasing out of me. And I did like abstract, like something I'd never done before, because when I did paint, it was about perfectionism. And like, if the painting wasn't exactly like the picture or whatever I've seen, for me, that was a failure. Like, I was a failure because it didn't look exactly like it, and I knew that I loved to paint, but I still wasn't able to recognize the beauty inside. But working with this group from Vienna, we weren't, they weren't teachers. It was just, we all supported each other in our creativity and in philosophies about life and about lifting ourselves up. That's really what it was about. So anyway, like having that background support from mostly women around mostly Europe, but also other places like Chile and also California, through them and through my own ability to start seeing myself, I started posting my paintings on Facebook. And then a couple months later, I received a note from someone saying, Judy, a writer artist friend of mine, Judy recommended me highly for a scholarship to paint and draw in Rome. So 2021 in the summer, it was the pandemic. I am in Rome. I'm painting and drawing with international teachers. And then I ended up spending the summer there because from that Vienna group, I'd met a woman named Ali, short for Alessandra. And so she was kind of my home base, my emergency contact. In 2022, I exhibited for the first time internationally in Paris, the Carousel du Louvre, and I met all of these other artists as a result of that, who were also represented by this Toronto gallery. Last year, I exhibited internationally in Berlin, also Venice, Dubai, Switzerland, Barcelona. These are the places that I'm thinking of right now. And as a result of doing that, like, I met these also amazing artists, some of whom, like Andreas, we met again when I was back in Europe for a second time for more exhibits. I took a train to Hamburg and I spent the day with him and his girlfriend. And it's all just about being open and being curious and just doing it, this discovery.
Wow. We're going to talk about your workshop here in a few minutes, but I see where it all came from. And I just see it more clearly now as we're having it discussed. It's so clear that you were gaining your self-acceptance through creativity by being part of that group. Going from part of your human design, because we work on that with our coaching, part of your human design is being the curious person and wanting everything to be perfect, wanting to have the nice bow on it before you put it out there. That's one side of your design, and discovery, but the other part of your design is that you have to try and learn through trial and error. You have to experience and learn through your experiences in order to fulfill the destiny of who you came here to be. And that's exactly what your journey has been unfolding. I'm just actually seeing it with a little more clarity of how I know our journeys are all perfect, but can you see how perfect your journey is at this moment? It's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's wow. So, all right. So a couple more things, and then we're going to talk about that workshop, but I want to know, you and I have worked together for some time and been co-creating this together, because that's what this coaching journey is, a journey of co-creation for sure. So what have you learned about yourself in the process that has surprised you or has empowered you to ascend and transcend and move to new levels, places that you haven't been before?
That I can impact people through my art and through talking about it and through my experiences, and that people are interested in what I do because it's about themselves. When you see someone doing something that looks extraordinary, you want to be with that person. And also at that same time, I've learned that I can impact people through showing them what I know and what I've learned about myself. Just learning that I can impact people and, ask questions that they can think about for themselves, but also at the same time, providing an example and then asking them, on the spot, for example, what is your 15 minutes if you want to give yourself time to do something you love? What is it? And just asking people if they, and it's just a question like that starts a seed for somebody else.
Yeah.
To answer what's in their soul, in their hearts. And I get to be part of that. Sure. I mean,
how do you feel? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just said, I think it's an amazing thing to be a part of someone's journey when they're just kind of growing. I mean, look at you in your field. That you're able to impact people significantly, and it feels wonderful to be able to make a difference in other people's lives, just to impact people and let them see see the love inside their hearts.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. How do you feel your voice has evolved as you've leaned more into what lights you up, as you've allowed yourself, as you've learned to give yourself permission to lean into the truth of who you are and give yourself permission to allow this to be a path that you get to travel? How has your voice changed or shifted or expanded?
Well, yeah, I mean, like a before version of me was very much like, I can't, it's not possible, it's not safe, it's not the right thing. Also, there was a lot of worry about what will people think of me. So that was definitely a before. And now it's, one answer could be like, when society is saying or worrying about what other people say, here's my response. So what? It's my life, and I deserve happiness. I deserve to live the life that I want to live.
Yes. Yes.
And that's really kind of negates all of that. And, I mean, I still find, though, there are moments where it's just like, you feel scared.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to. Nobody says you can't. You feel all your feelings. We're praised for like laughing and being happy. But when it comes to other emotions like sadness or uncertainty, we're supposed to hide that. But that's not what life is. It's about celebrating all parts of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing that so beautifully. And we know, as you have stepped into this new role of, well, you've kind of always been a bit of an entrepreneur, sort of, maybe not realizing it, but now as you really embrace this as your path forward, we know it's a shit show sometimes, right? It's like, what is happening? And it is scary, and it makes all the feelings, but you are doing it, and it is, and the success that you're having. I want to share, Amanda started her Airbnb over a year ago. She has an incredibly successful Airbnb. Why don't you say a little bit about that, and then let's get into the creative play. But I think it's so important because since we've been coaching. When I started with you weren't an Airbnb. I remember when you started talking about, I think I'm going to do the air, where it's like, wow, okay. And I, got to watch and see how, and help you navigate, like, and now you have how many 5-star reviews, and you're really enjoying the process most of the time, but learning from it all of the time, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Well, and I'll just say the first time I did Airbnb was in New Zealand in 2016. And most of my Airbnb stays were in New Zealand because I was there for such a long time. The thing that stayed with me was just that feeling of the people where I stayed. They were doing Airbnbs, I believe, because it was something they had in their hearts, and that they wanted to share a welcoming space for, a solo traveler like me who wanted to go all over their country and see it. And so that was something that stayed with me. And, then I went back to my jobs and I did, the things that I did, but, that experience, especially staying in Airbnbs, was just something I always thought that I wanted to do. But I just was really busy with my corporate job, and, that just wasn't on, that wasn't really on the docket. But, again, in 2021, as I said, things shifted. And so let's see, I guess last year was 2024, when we started working together, one of the things I really wanted to do was to have an Airbnb, and suddenly I had the time to do it. And I learned everything I needed to learn. And it was just like, it was up and down, all the time of starting a business. But I'm at this point now where all of my reviews are five stars. I have currently 15 gold stars. I think I said that right. No, 15 5-star.
5 stars.
Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
That's
and
gold too.
I have space for 2 people. It's a day bed and a trundle. It's shared spaces. So I'm here most of the time, I'm here most of the time. Sometimes I'm in and out. And I look at it as I want it to be a place for people to come and recharge and retreat. Pittsburgh, any place, they want to go. It's just weird, but it's just a 15-minute drive away. So everything's very close. There are coffee shops walking distance. Spigolo is walking distance. There's a pastry shop with, I don't want to say to die for, but they are very good chocolate croissants. And there's a brunch cafe nearby. So, I mean, it's, even though I'm like one mile from the city line, but there's so much to offer in the area. But also at the same time, my mission is to, always coming from the heart. My paintings are here. I have one painting that's not being seen right now from this view. That's a painting in progress. And so people who come, get to see that, to stay in an artist residence and to see, what's coming about. And certainly I have repeat clients now, or I guess you say guests, but I just think about everyone as a client, they who become friends. They want me to be here so that we can catch up. So it's really exciting, because doing this is really coming from my heart, especially in a way of like a boomerang of, the welcome that I felt when I was in New Zealand. I want to extend that same, just keep spreading the good energy.
I just love you. I love your warmth. I love your heart. I love that you're letting yourself share your heart with the world now, and that all your multi-passionate interests all intersect at the heart. I never can do that. Oh, I shouldn't try. I'll have to work on. Is that it? Okay, never mind. I'll work on. Yeah, but they do right here at the heart, and every element of what you do comes from that, and it's all. I see it all coming. I see it all emerging and coming together with your most recent great creative genius of creative play for adults, your brand new workshop that you've just been in beta testing and having some really great experience with. But talk about what inspired this creative play for, I'm calling it the Creative Play for Adults workshop series. So you can take that or leave it. I feel and it's evolving as we go, because that's how it happens as entrepreneurs, right? We get in, we iterate, we try, we see what worked, we see what didn't, we see what makes us light us up and what is like, ooh, that wasn't so good. Iterate, go. That's what you're doing. And so, but what inspired it? Who's it for? What can people expect to walk away with? Tell us.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So Creative Play for Adults. This is really exciting for me because it's an offshoot from my vision of helping people find their self-acceptance through creativity and travel. And so it is Pittsburgh based. It's an in-person workshop. And in terms of, what they're going to learn. So this is how I have really come to be able to cultivate my own self-acceptance, because it's not like, oh, I've got the self-acceptance, I'm done now. You put that on the shelf, we're good. No, self-acceptance.
Yeah, we wish.
Yeah. Self-acceptance is something you practice every single day. For me, art has been instrumental in that process, and this is something that, what I've learned through, through my own art and my own painting is developing that self-acceptance. And it's something that I use in other parts of my life. When it really came to fruition is I was taking an abstract class, and I was noticing how there was an artist in the class who kept looking for approval from the teacher about whether or not her work was finished. And I remember just feeling like a growing anger about how the only one who can answer whether or not a piece of work is finished is the person creating it. And I guess I realized too that definitely was something that I had done, because often when you get really like frustrated or like iggly niggly or whatever about someone else, it's really about yourself. It's really about what's inside. And I didn't really realize it at that time, but I just remember thinking like,
yeah, triggered you.
Nobody else can do that. It's just the person inside.
Yeah.
So just getting back to the Creative Play for Adults, what people can expect to learn is I do have concepts, and there will be things that I teach, but it's in a way that this is for people who are curious. This is people who are willing to try something new. This is for people who are able to allow themselves to be a little bit vulnerable, knowing that they're going to be in a safe environment. And when I mean safe, I mean it's you're giving yourself permission to play. It's giving yourself permission to return to that 5-year-old self and not be attached to how it looks, because that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is how you feel inside when you're doing it. And at the end of the class, because it's 2 hours, and I don't know where the what we're going to learn or what is going to be painted. Like, I have no idea about that. I just go with whatever is, the feeling is inside. We're gonna paint a lot. I can guarantee you that. And I'm going to show you some techniques and things that will help you understand how to put colors together, or what works, or learn things about kind of just technical art sort of things. But the important thing is you're going to be able to let go if you allow yourself to be curious, and if you just focus on enjoying the experience. And maybe you feel different things as you're having the experience, but in the end, I bring it all around, and we look at the art together, and we talk about it, and we talk about what we love. Because when we start talking about what we love, we're respecting ourselves. And when
That's
we're
beautiful.
able to respect ourselves, think about the world around us.
This is so important. This work that you're doing is so important. And I see you bringing this to well, I see a global scale because you are the traveler, you are this international traveler. But what I love so much about this is it's a safe place. So many times we don't try new things. If I've heard a thousand times, and myself too, like, well, I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to do it. How do we ever learn anything? Like, we're not good at almost everything. Even as a baby, we weren't good at walking until we actually got up and tried to do it and fell down and got up and fell down. And right? Like, thank God we didn't say this to ourselves when we were babies, or we'd be nowhere. We have to do. So this childhood play is like going back to the energy of a child where you weren't worried about society. You didn't even know that was a thing. You just come from within and you're like, let me try. Maybe you'll discover that you're like this incredible artist. Maybe you'll discover, maybe you're not. It doesn't matter though, right? That's what you're saying. It's not about your skills or what, it's about having the courage to come and show up for yourself, to get out of your comfort zone and learn that there's so much more that you can be, do, and have if you're willing to try. And this can be carried over into every aspect of life, can it not?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, when you start loving yourself and treating yourself with kindness, about being curious and, maybe not always getting it right, but you're doing it. Like you're taking some step in a direction of doing something new, of something discovery. Well, if you do it in art, you can do it in anything.
Yeah. I love that. If you can do it in art, you can do it in anything. And you start from where you are and you just go from there. And where you are is the perfect place to be. So is this all, these are adults? I know you've worked with some corporate professionals, tech bros, different kinds of people who you might not think about as being a perfect client for yourself. Or some people might not think, oh, really? They're like a tech bro is going to do this? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, it's funny. One of my clients, when he showed up for our workshop together, he just said, I am not an artist. And I said, good.
Perfect. Love that. I am not. Okay. So an ideal client is, I am not an artist. And your answer is perfect. That's
exactly what I'm looking for.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So tell us about how does this work? First of all, talk about how people can, before we go, make sure I want you to verbally talk about how people can get connected with you. I did there's some information in the chat about how people can follow you and so forth, but if somebody wants to be part of your next upcoming workshops over the next couple of months, what will that look like? And what's the process for connecting with you on that?
Yeah. So a great way to find, to get more information is to go to my Substack. It's Amanda Mottorn Artist.substack.com, and it is in the chat. I also, right now I'm offering Tuesdays. So I have workshops available from 11 to 1, 3 to 5, and 6:30 to 8:30, and then otherwise on appointment. So I'm very, flexible, and, I can come to you, you can come to me.
You could do a little group. Somebody could get a couple friends together and you could go to their place.
Yeah. Like think of your 4 to 6 besties and do it. And we can do it in a group together. It's 2 hours and, I don't have a plan what it's going to be, but I know it's going to be really great.
Yeah. And you're going to be part of the creation process. Amanda's, this is her newest brainchild. And she's already getting rave reviews. And if this is something that speaks to you, definitely reach out and connect. And what's the cost for somebody to participate?
Yeah. So right now I have an introductory rate of $30 for 2 hours. I'm just really excited about getting my message out. And, and meeting you and we, learn and discover together. And I'm just so grateful for, people who are curious and, wanting to try something new and, feeling the discoveries within and realizing, realizing that we're heart-focused human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this just popped into my head. You know how I go, Amanda. It pops into my head. It must come out. So I just am thinking, to reiterate, this isn't like a paint and sip that a lot of us are familiar with that have been going on for years, which are great, but this is not a uniform formatted kind of thing. So this is actually the opposite of that, where it's more come in and let your hair down and be open and curious, and if you're feeling, a little nervous around it, that's good. That's part of it. You can't fail. So this is something different. You're not going to necessarily walk away with a picture to frame or something like that. It's about the process.
You're not going to walk away with that. You're actually going to walk away with that curiosity of remembering who you are, or even getting a hint of it. It's not about the outcome. It's about what's inside.
I'm so excited. Yeah, this is great. It's wow. Fantastic. Okay, so let's wrap this up a little bit. So what would you say to the woman watching this who feels like there's more for her, or the gentleman? I mean, I work with midlife women, you work with all. So the person watching this who feels like there's something more for me, but I don't know where to begin. What would you say?
Well, first I would say, yes, there is. And deep down, there is. And just, I would say, well, there's this one part of me that's saying, take my workshop, or respond to that thing inside that you're curious about, and just do it, and just like forget about it. Just say, so what about, the other voices in your head that might be saying why you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Well, has not doing that brought you the joy? Be curious, lean into that curiosity, and let it take you where you were meant to go. I mean, look at my journey.
I am front row, girlfriend. So, I'm always talking about next act. And, sometimes I call myself a next act midlife coach, because I switch around from, it's all the same, right? But this is all about our next and our third and our fourth, it's our next act. If you could name, and I didn't preview this with you, but let's see what pops up. Okay. We'll just go with it, because we're going to be creative. So if you could name your next act, what would you call this this current next act of yours that you're in right now? What would you call this chapter of your life?
Opening up to possibility.
Woo! I love it. Amanda, this has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been a great pleasure. And, it's all part of the growth, just speaking in this empowered place, and letting people see it, not hiding inside, one shell, but just really getting it out there, and getting into that comfort of, this is who I am. There's this part of me that just says, stand and hear me roar. I don't know if I quite got all that right, but it's,
I am woman, hear me roar. That's where we
hear me roar. That's right. That's what I meant to say. So I usually just remember half of it. But thank you so much for allowing me, and not allowing me, for reaching out to me to be part of this experience. And I'm glad that actually I said yes, and I allowed myself to be seen, because it's just makes everything just keeps getting better and better when you start saying yes to what's in your heart.
It's true. It's true. So thank you so much. And for anybody out there that's looking and ready to step into what is next for you, reach out to Amanda, reach out to me. We can help you in our own ways and be part of your journey forward. So, all right. Thanks, guys. And sign up for Creative Play for Adults. Nothing to lose. All right. Bye, guys.